Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thanks for tuning in. Today we are talking about when you are ready to commit and your top 5 tips on choosing your next perfume. So this is a strategy in which you can enter the marketplace and feel confident in your next choice of fragrance. Rule number 1, don't choose a fragrance based on its notes. If you're going to do this, you're going to find perfumes that almost work, but won't necessarily work for you in the long run. So for the long haul, you want to focus on scent profiles. And what is kind of the scent profile that you lean towards? So beyond just note comparison, like, okay, I really love lavender and I really love fragrances like Mon Guerlain and Burberry Goddess, for example. Okay, those are two very different lavenders, and one is very aromatic and one is very powdery. So you can understand when you're in the marketplace and you're on the hunt for a new fragrance that your best practice isn't always to follow what is in the notes, like the composition of your olfactory notes. Okay, so when you're in the marketplace and you want to commit to a fragrance, the best practice when it comes to focusing on how you want that fragrance to feel and what is the story of that fragrance? What is the story you're trying to tell? Is it a mark of independence? You know, is it trying to exude confidence, a certain like dark and mysterious aura? Or is it more like girly and feminine, you know? So what is kind of like the feel of your fragrance? Like, what is that scent profile that you're leaning towards? And you want to focus on does it feel creamy? Does it feel clean? Does it feel dark? Does it feel, you know, radiant? Is it intimate? Does it sit very close on the skin? You know, is this something that you're going to wear in the workplace, or is it something that you want to wear in the bedroom? You know, so there's different kind of storylines when it comes to a fragrance, and you want to be cognizant of not just what's in the olfactory notes, but how the fragrance overall feels on your skin. And I think it's safe to say too that you want to look for patterns that you know you love. And what I mean by patterns is, again, it's not solely focusing on the notes, but what type of fragrance do you lean towards? Is it complex? Like, is it dark and mysterious? Is it more like a skin scent, like a skin musk? You know, so those fragrances in and of itself, they tell very different stories and they have very different scent profiles. And so I think that is like the number one ultimate rule is when you're looking for a new fragrance, what is that scent profile? You got to identify that, and the closer to home you are with that, then the more confident you can go into choosing your future scents. So choosing how you want to be perceived with this new fragrance is critical when you are in the buyer stage of this process. So in order to understand what it is that you really lean and gravitate towards as a scent profile, you have to consider, like, do you want to feel like soft luxury, or do you want to feel like bold presence? Because those two in and of itself are very different in many ways. And it's all about whether you want to feel intimate or if you want to feel noticeable, right? So again, it's that projection. Like, are you wanting to stand out and like be really bold in this fragrance? Does it have a lot of spice? Is it, you know, over a little bit like projecting into other people's spaces and they can smell you from a good distance away? Or is it more like, I want to only smell this when I'm hugging someone or when they're close to me? Because that's a very different projection. You also want to make sure that whatever it is that you choose is going to align with your day-to-day. And what I mean by that is, when you are wearing a fragrance, like, are you going out to the movies? Are you going to the gym? Are you going to work? Like, what is your kind of day-to-day look like? Are you around kids? Like, kids, you know, it's so important because they're very sensitive, and you want to be cognizant of like what you're wearing around children. So yeah, I think like for sure when you're choosing a scent, like you want to make sure that it not only aligns with you and your personal values, but like what is it that you're doing on the day to day and how you can be aware of that. So you want to like when you're choosing a fragrance, it is totally a personal experience. And it's not so much of like a performative thing and like, I'm going to spray this because I want to feel, rich or like expensive or whatever. And like, yeah, that's great. And I think like maybe for like the first week, you're going to like feeling that way. But that is like a very fleeting connotation. Like if your goal is like, yeah, I want to smell expensive and luxurious, okay, I think that's wonderful and I think that's great. But like there's so much more to a fragrance than that. And I think there's different ways of exuding wealth, right? Like it's not all about like show it up in your face and like there's also more subtle ways of showing that you're wealthy and that you have luxury and that you're rich. So quiet luxury is just that. Like you have this kind of connotation of minimalism and restraint and being really cool and effortless. So that's what I mean. Like if you gravitate something that is more personal and close to home for you, that'll lend itself a way more successful experience as a fragrance for you than, say, if you're chasing a dollar sign. So, as you are on the hunt for your next beautiful fragrance, the thing that you want to be cognizant of when you are at the testing phase is wearing a fragrance for a full day. Okay, not necessarily like walking into a store or spraying that perfume and then basically on the spot deciding, yeah, like I like it, or like even in the first 20 minutes, like you need way more time than that. So when you are initially testing your fragrances, you want to see how that fragrance is going to dry down at the end of the day. Okay, I kid you not, like it's going to take a full day for you to get acquainted with this fragrance because molecular structures, they dry down and they release certain notes during different times of the day. Okay, so when you're in the sunlight, for instance, like this is quick evaporation. Like the molecules on your skin are going to release way quicker and your base is going to get, you're going to get to your base quicker. So your first initial top and heart notes, they're going to evaporate very quickly versus the nighttime. Like if you're applying it in the nighttime, you may start to enjoy those top notes and middle notes a little bit more because they're not going to evaporate so quickly in the environment. And so you get to enjoy your base notes a little bit later in the day. So it's really important because people oftentimes like they'll just judge a fragrance in the first spray, in the first go around, and then they'll say, yeah, like I just really love it and like I just have to have it. But I think like in order for you to really comprehend the full composition of a fragrance, it's important just to allow yourself the day and go home and like see how it wears with your clothes. Like when you take off your clothes, do you like the way your clothes smell? So when you're also on the hunt for a new fragrance, you want to consider the concentration and the texture of that fragrance. So eau de toilettes, eau de parfums, and extraits behave way differently on the skin. So it's not just about strength, it's also about how close they wear to the skin. And obviously, the longer the lifespan of your fragrance, the higher concentration oil you're going to have. So it's indicative of more intimacy. So a higher concentration has more intimacy because it stays closer on the skin rather than a lower concentration, which evaporates really quickly. And then essentially you're not left with a ton because it's all in the air. And so you want to make sure that you have that higher oil concentration because it sits closer to the skin. You get that longevity. And it's really about that second skin scent. It's a lot less about diffusion. So with lighter concentrations, the 20%, 15%, these kind of like eau de toilettes, eau de parfum categories, they have a lot more diffusion because they're able to evaporate really quickly. And so, you know, again, like you want something that's going to have a little bit more of a higher concentration. My last note about this is a signature scent or any kind of like fragrance that you're really wanting to add to your collection. It shouldn't necessarily impress anyone. Like the goal is not to really impress people with your fragrance. The goal is to make it feel like home. When you smell it, like, does it remind you of something? Does it conjure up a memory? Are you thinking of a certain someone, a special person or a special memory in your life? Like, I think, yeah, like if you're out there and you're wanting to commit to a new fragrance, you want to explore what's in the fragrance world, it's really important to think about this. Like, you want to make sure that like whatever it is that you're putting on your skin and you're going to smell on the long term, will you like this in a year from now? Like think about that. Like, it's a commitment. Like, are you ready to basically have this in your collection and enjoy it? So yeah, I think it's worth revisiting a scent over weeks. And I think, like, even if you purchase, let's say, like a 30 ml, like a 1.0, I think that's a good starting point. And then you can revisit it, throughout the course of 6 months and then say, okay, I'm ready for repurchase. And I really enjoyed this fragrance. Oh my God, like, I'm ready for the 3.4. And that way you're not committing to like a full 3.4 bottle right off the bat. And so, yeah, I think that that's a good strategy as well, is like looking at the sizing of different perfumes. Like, okay, you did your sampling, you had a travel size roller ball and you really enjoyed that and you got so many compliments on it. People seem to really like you in it and you just felt really confident in it. That's when I say, like, go for it. Like, get your 3.4, get a 6.7. Heck, like I just like the whole thing with this is I feel like you have to fall in love with the fragrance. And that happens over time. That because it gets associated with memory. Like, what did I do? What did I achieve, in that month or that year that I was wearing that perfume? Okay, it was 2024. I got a promotion, or I got a new job, I got a new house, I got engaged, this was the perfume I got married in. Like, there's so many things that get associated to that smell. And the last thing you want is like something that is associated out of kind of, I don't want to say vanity, but like, oh, I really just wanted to smell like money. Like, that was my goal, is like, I wanted to smell like, I hate to say like Baccarat Rouge, but like, you get the idea that I'm trying to say, right? Like, yeah, I wanted to smell like money. And so I went for Baccarat Rouge, even though Baccarat Rouge is beautiful, in my opinion. Like, that DNA is really great and no hate against it. But like, what I'm trying to get at is does it feel like home to you? Do you like that spun sugar smell, that cotton candy smell? Does it remind you of being in a carnival? Like, like, these are things to just be aware of. Yeah. And so my other point with this is, it's like, you don't want to force it. Okay. So, I always think like finding a signature scent, like, it will find you. Okay. Like, as much as like you think like, oh man, like, I have to just keep trying and I have to keep like going out there or whatever, you never know. Like, you could have a conversation with someone and be like, oh my God, you smell so good. Like, what is that? And they'll tell you and you'll try it and you may love it. Like, you can find a fragrance organically in that way. You don't have to go out into a department store and spend all of this money in search of a great signature scent. It can totally happen organically. So I always think like the best things come to you when you don't chase them, is when you attract them. That's like my number one rule in life. And I think it goes for fragrance as well. Like, if you stop forcing it, this thing, it will find you. So yeah, that's my main point that I wanted to cover there. Yeah, and falling in love with a fragrance, it's quiet and it's consistent. Like, I've I remember like I had a really great rose perfume from Deep Teak, and that was a love for me. I just knew it. Like I never liked rose fragrances. I was never in, like I had so many, and they were kind of disappointing, nauseating, gave me headaches. And this one from Deep Teak, I don't know, it felt like home. Like and I wanted to keep wearing it, and I wore it to the very last drop. So what I'm saying is, yeah, the fragrance is out there for you. It really is. But you gotta stop like forcing it. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, like it, subscribe to my channel, follow me on all the things, and I'll see you back here soon.